Dallas, Texas, a sprawling metropolis where thousands of delivery vehicles navigate busy streets every day, carrying everything from online shopping orders to high-value commercial cargo worth millions of dollars. In this vast network of commerce and transportation, delivery drivers are the invisible workforce that keeps the economy moving. Devin Clark was one of those invisible workers. For 5 years, he had driven routes for Express Logistics Solutions, a mid-sized courier company that handled overflow work for major shipping corporations and specialized in time-sensitive deliveries throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. At 34 years old, he was exactly what logistics companies look for in contract drivers: reliable, punctual, and completely unremarkable. Devin was what we called a ghost driver, recalls Maria Santos, former dispatcher for Express Logistics. Never called in sick, never showed up late, never caused any problems. He'd take his route sheet in the morning, complete every delivery exactly on schedule, and turn in his paperwork without saying more than 10 words to anyone. Before we dive into this incredible story of patience, precision, and the perfect vanishing act, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Devin's personnel file painted the picture of an ideal employee: clean driving record, no criminal history, steady work performance over 5 years without a single customer complaint or delivery error. His background check revealed a quiet life of modest circumstances: unmarried, no dependents, lived alone in a small apartment, drove a reliable but unremarkable sedan. Express Logistics handled contracts for multiple clients, from Amazon overflow during peak seasons to specialized courier services for banks, law firms, and government agencies. The variety of cargo meant drivers like Devin were exposed to valuable shipments on a regular basis, requiring enhanced background checks and bonding insurance. We trusted Devin with some of our most sensitive deliveries, explains former operations manager Robert Chen. Medical specimens, legal documents, financial instruments. He had clearance for restricted deliveries that most drivers never see. His track record was so clean that supervisors stopped double-checking his paperwork. What supervisors didn't realize was that Devin had been using his 5 years of employment to conduct the most thorough reconnaissance operation in Dallas. Logistics history. While they saw reliable performance, Devin was studying every aspect of the system he was supposed to serve. He understood delivery schedules better than most dispatchers, knew security procedures better than most supervisors, and had identified vulnerabilities in the courier network that no one else had noticed. Most importantly, he had discovered that post-COVID driver shortages had forced certain high-security clients to relax protocols in ways that created unprecedented opportunities. Devin was invisible by design, explains criminal behavior specialist Dr. Jennifer Walsh, and that's exactly what made him dangerous. The opportunity that would transform Devin from invisible worker to international fugitive came through his assignment to Route 47, a specialized circuit that included 2 weekly pickups from Meridian Secure Transport, a Federal Reserve-linked facility that handled cash transfers for major banks throughout Texas. Meridian Secure Transport operated one of the most sophisticated cash handling facilities in the Southwest, processing millions of dollars in currency transfers every day for banks, credit unions, and government agencies. The facility was designed like a fortress, with multiple layers of security protecting cash that moved between financial institutions. Under normal circumstances, all cash transfers were handled by armored vehicles with armed guards, GPS tracking, and real-time communication with security control centers. But the COVID-19 pandemic had created driver shortages that forced Meridian to modify their procedures in ways that compromised decades of careful security planning. The pandemic changed everything about logistics, explains former Meridian Operations Director Dr. Patricia Williams. We lost 40% of our drivers to quarantine requirements, health concerns, and better opportunities in other industries. We had to use contractor drivers for shipments that should have been handled by our own personnel. The modified procedures allowed vetted contractor drivers like Devin to handle certain cash shipments using regular delivery vehicles rather than armored trucks. The cash was transported in unmarked duffel bags with specialized barcode labels that tracked each shipment through GPS monitoring systems. Devin's Route 47 included 2 weekly pickups from Meridian, Tuesday and Friday runs that transported cash between different bank branches and processing centers. The shipments were disguised as routine commercial cargo, relying on GPS tracking and timed delivery schedules, rather than visible security measures. The disguised shipments were supposed to be more secure because they didn't attract attention, explains security consultant Dr. Michael Torres. Regular delivery vehicles blend into traffic better than armored trucks, and criminals can't target what they don't recognize as valuable cargo. But the system contained a critical vulnerability that Devon had identified through months of careful observation. The barcode labels that tracked each shipment could be replicated using standard commercial equipment, while GPS tracking systems had dead zones where vehicles could deviate from authorized routes without triggering immediate alerts. More importantly, Devon discovered that Meridian's security protocols were designed to prevent external theft rather than manipulation by authorized drivers. The system assumed that anyone with legitimate access to cash shipments could be trusted to complete deliveries as directed. They were protecting against armed robbery and hijacking, observes Dr. Torres, but they hadn't adequately considered the possibility that a trusted driver might simply redirect shipments to unauthorized destinations. Over 18 months of handling Meridian deliveries, Devon had compiled comprehensive intelligence about their operations. He knew which days carried the largest cash loads, which routes had the longest GPS dead zones, and which delivery schedules provided maximum opportunity for deviation without immediate detection. He also understood the human element of the security system. Meridian staff had become accustomed to his reliable service and rarely double-checked his paperwork or questioned minor variations in delivery timing. His 5-year track record had earned him a level of trust that would prove fatal to the security of their cash handling operations. By May 2023, Devon had identified the perfect opportunity, a routine Friday delivery that would carry nearly $30 million in currency transfers, following a route with multiple GPS dead zones, scheduled during a period when Meridian's security staff would be focused on end-of-week reconciliation procedures. Devon's plan for stealing $29 million required solving several technical challenges that would have deterred most potential criminals. He needed to redirect cash shipments without triggering security alerts, create false documentation that would pass initial inspection, and establish an escape route that would allow him to disappear permanently before the theft was discovered. His solution was both elegant and sophisticated, exploiting the same efficiency-driven procedures that had made him a trusted contractor. Rather than stealing cash directly, Devon would manipulate the delivery system to redirect shipments to a location under his control. The key was replicating Meridian's barcode labeling system with sufficient accuracy to fool automated scanning equipment and busy warehouse workers. Using a commercial label printer purchased with cash, Devon spent weeks perfecting reproductions of authentic shipping labels. The label replication was remarkably sophisticated, explains forensic document analyst Dr. Sarah Kim. He had duplicated not just the visual appearance, but the barcode formatting, adhesive properties, and even the paper stock used by Meridian's legitimate labels. Devon also established the infrastructure needed to receive redirected shipments. 6 months before the theft, he had rented a storage facility under the false identity Southwest Commercial Storage LLC, paying 18 months in advance with cash and providing forged business documentation that passed the facility's basic verification procedures. The storage unit was modified with lead shielding to block GPS signals from tracking devices, along with surveillance countermeasures that would prevent security cameras from recording activities inside the space. Devon had essentially created a black hole where millions of dollars could disappear without electronic trace. The preparation was meticulous, observes financial crime specialist Dr. Robert Martinez. He had anticipated every aspect of the theft and created solutions for problems that most criminals never consider. This wasn't impulsive behavior. It was a carefully executed business plan. On Friday, May 12, 2023, Devon arrived at Express Logistics for what would be his final day as a delivery driver. His route sheet showed the standard Friday pickup from Meridian, 3 duffel bags containing currency transfers for various bank branches throughout Dallas. At 10:47 a.m., Devon loaded the shipments into his delivery van exactly as he had hundreds of times before. The bags were heavy, properly sealed, and labeled with barcodes that matched his delivery manifest. To Meridian staff and Express Logistics supervisors, everything appeared completely routine. But during the brief moment when Devon was alone with the shipments, he made one critical modification. Using his replicated labels, he changed the routing information on the largest duffel bag, the one containing $29 million, directing it to his controlled storage facility rather than its intended destination. The label switch took less than 30 seconds, explains Dr. Kim. He simply removed the authentic label and replaced it with his forgery. To anyone conducting a casual inspection, the bag appeared properly addressed and ready for delivery. Devin completed his normal route with mechanical precision, making scheduled deliveries and maintaining his usual professional demeanor. But instead of delivering the redirected shipment to its authorized destination, he drove to his storage facility during a GPS dead zone that lasted exactly 14 minutes. The $29 million was unloaded and secured in the lead-shielded storage unit while Devin continued his route. By the time he returned to Express Logistics that afternoon, the largest cash theft in Texas history had been completed without triggering a single security alert. At 4:23 p.m. on May 12th, Devin Clark completed his final delivery route and returned to Express Logistics exactly on schedule. He turned in his paperwork, returned his delivery scanner, and signed out for the weekend just as he had every Friday for 5 years. To supervisors and co-workers, he appeared to be the same reliable driver who would return Monday morning for another week of routine deliveries. But Devin Clark would never return to Express Logistics, and within 72 hours he would be beyond the reach of American law enforcement agencies. Security camera footage from the Express Logistics parking lot shows Devin walking to his personal vehicle at 4:31 p.m., carrying only a small backpack and appearing completely calm. He drove away in his Honda Civic, following his normal route toward his apartment complex in suburban Dallas. What happened next was the culmination of 18 months of careful planning. Instead of going home, Devin drove to a prearranged location where an unknown accomplice was waiting in a different vehicle. The Honda Civic was found abandoned 3 days later in a long-term parking garage at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. The vehicle switch was professionally executed, explains FBI fugitive specialist Agent Patricia Williams. He disappeared completely during a 15-minute window when he wasn't being tracked by any electronic systems. By the time we found his car, he was already out of the country. Customs records show that someone using Devin's passport departed Dallas for Nassau, Bahamas, on a flight that left at 11:47 p.m. on May 12th, less than 7 hours after he had stolen $29 million. But facial recognition analysis of airport security footage was inconclusive, suggesting possible use of disguises or altered identification documents. The timing was incredible, observes International Fugitive Coordinator Agent Sarah Martinez. He went from completing a delivery route to boarding an international flight in 7 hours. That level of coordination requires months of preparation and possibly assistance from experienced criminals. Meanwhile, the theft remained completely undetected. Meridian's security systems showed all deliveries completed on schedule, while GPS tracking indicated that Devin's van had followed its authorized route throughout the day. The missing shipment wouldn't be discovered for another 11 hours. The discovery came during Meridian's routine Saturday morning vault reconciliation, when security staff realized that one of Friday's cash transfers had never arrived at its destination. Initial investigation focused on possible delivery errors or routing mistakes rather than theft. Our first assumption was human error, recalls former Meridian Security Director Dr. Michael Chen. Drivers occasionally delivered to wrong addresses or misread routing instructions. We spent hours checking with different bank branches before we realized the shipment had completely disappeared. By the time Meridian reported the missing cash to law enforcement, Devin had been in the Bahamas for over 12 hours. FBI agents arrived at his apartment complex to find his unit completely empty, professionally cleaned, and showing no signs of recent occupancy. He had been preparing for this moment for months, explains behavioral analyst Dr. Jennifer Santos. The apartment was sanitized, bank accounts were closed, utility services were terminated. He had eliminated every trace of his life in Dallas before committing the theft. The investigation revealed that Devin had been systematically liquidating his legitimate assets for 6 months, converting everything to cash and cryptocurrency that could be accessed from anywhere in the world. His disappearance wasn't impulsive. It was the final phase of a meticulously planned criminal enterprise. The FBI's investigation into the Meridian cash theft began with the assumption that it was an inside job involving current or former employees with detailed knowledge of security procedures. The sophistication of the label forgery and the precise timing of the theft suggested someone with intimate understanding of the facility's operations. The technical aspects pointed to professional criminal planning, explains Agent Williams. Label replication, GPS tracking evasion, international escape routes. These aren't skills that most people possess. We were looking for someone with serious criminal experience. But as the investigation expanded, a different picture emerged. Analysis of Meridian's contractor records revealed that Devin Clark had been making regular deliveries for over a year, providing him with extensive access to observe security procedures and identify vulnerabilities. Express Logistics personnel files showed that Devin had an exemplary work record, but virtually no personal connections that could provide leads about his whereabouts or criminal associates. He had lived alone, worked alone, and apparently planned alone. He was the perfect ghost, observes Dr. Santos. No family ties, no close friendships, no social media presence, no digital footprint that could help us track his movements or predict his behavior. The investigation of Devin's storage unit revealed the sophisticated preparation that had made the ED theft possible. Lead shielding, surveillance countermeasures, and specialized equipment for handling large amounts of cash showed planning that had extended over many months. More significantly, investigators discovered that the storage facility rental had been paid for 18 months in advance, suggesting that Devin had been planning his crime and escape long before he actually executed the theft. The advance payment told us this wasn't opportunistic crime, explains financial investigator Dr. Robert Chen. He had been working toward this specific theft for over a year, preparing every detail and anticipating every contingency. International cooperation efforts focused on tracking Devin through the Bahamian financial system, but investigators quickly discovered that he had prepared for this possibility as well. Bank records showed minimal activity that could be traced to his real identity. He understood that traditional banking systems would be monitored, explains international financial crimes specialist Dr. Patricia Kim. He had obviously prepared alternative methods for accessing and moving his stolen money that wouldn't leave conventional paper trails. Cryptocurrency analysis revealed transactions consistent with sophisticated money laundering operations, but the digital trail disappeared into mixing services and privacy coins that made further tracking extremely difficult. The investigation also revealed that Devin had likely been studying similar thefts and escape techniques for years. His computer, found in the abandoned storage unit, contained research about international fugitives, money laundering techniques, and identity falsification methods. He had been preparing for this crime for much longer than we initially realized, admits Agent Williams. The theft wasn't just about stealing money. It was about disappearing permanently with resources sufficient to live comfortably for the rest of his life. Despite extensive international cooperation and sophisticated tracking efforts, no confirmed sightings of Devin Clark have been reported since his flight to the Bahamas. The FBI believes he has established a new identity in a country that doesn't cooperate with American extradition requests. Understanding how Devin Clark transformed from a reliable delivery driver into one of America's most successful fugitive thieves requires examining the psychology of long-term criminal planning and the patient accumulation of specialized knowledge. Over years of seemingly legitimate work, criminal behavior specialists who have studied the case believe Devin represents a new category of criminal. Highly intelligent individuals who use legitimate employment to conduct reconnaissance for major crimes while maintaining perfect cover as law-abiding citizens. Devin didn't just plan a theft, explains Dr. Jennifer Walsh. He planned an entire new life. The crime was just the transition between his old identity and whatever he's become now. That level of psychological transformation requires remarkable self-control and strategic thinking. Analysis of Devin's work performance over 5 years reveals subtle patterns that suggest criminal planning disguised as professional competence. His route efficiency improved steadily as he learned shortcuts and timing variations that would later become crucial to his escape plan. His request for specific assignments, particularly the Meridian deliveries, appeared to be motivated by professional ambition rather than criminal reconnaissance. Supervisors viewed his reliability and willingness to handle challenging routes as signs of dedication rather than intelligence gathering. He turned his job into a 5-year criminal education program, observes organizational psychology specialist Dr. Michael Torres. Every day at work was research for the perfect crime. He learned our procedures better than most supervisors because he was planning to exploit them. The financial discipline Devin demonstrated while preparing for his crime suggests remarkable patience and long-term thinking. Living modestly on a delivery driver's salary while accumulating resources for an international escape requires psychological characteristics that most criminals lack. Most thieves want immediate gratification, explains financial behavior analyst Dr. Sarah Chen. Devin spent years living below his means, avoiding debt, and building the foundation for a crime that would set him up for life. That kind of delayed gratification is extremely rare in criminal populations. The social isolation that characterized Devin's life may have been deliberate preparation for his eventual disappearance. By maintaining minimal personal connections, he eliminated potential sources of information that could help investigators track his movements or predict his behavior. He had already practiced disappearing, suggests Dr. Walsh. His social invisibility wasn't just personality, it was operational security. He was protecting his criminal plans by ensuring that no one knew him well enough to provide useful information to investigators. The sophistication of Devin's technical preparation suggests possible consultation with experienced criminals or extensive self-education through darknet resources and criminal methodology research. His label replication and security countermeasures demonstrated knowledge that typically takes years to develop. He either had help from professionals or he's much smarter than anyone realized, admits Agent Williams. The technical aspects of his crime were at the level of organized crime operations, not individual thieves working alone. The psychological profile that emerges from the investigation is of someone who had been planning to disappear long before he committed the crime that would make it necessary. Devin may have viewed his entire adult life as preparation for a single perfect crime that would allow him to escape the economic limitations of legitimate work.